Right, dumela. Yeah, not to level paper 2, mathematics for grade 12. This is from September 2018 trial examination. But here level analytical geometry, which means Lorraine is plus minus 40, which is plus minus 3. So this chapter is 40 plus minus 3. So key analytical geometry for grade 11 and 12. But this one is grade 11, and then my set grade 12. So let's check the question. Does it in the diagram? PQR is a triangle with vertices P, Q, and R. So rare no bonchar more na le a triangle e lore na le di corners ja obijwa P le Q le R, and then what if the coordinates on the Cartesian plane number jonare. This is my one. Right, ntoso njo go pologora are bereka ka this kind of question. Re shoma ka di lines. So rare erga bona triangle ile ka mo go confuse. So rare re tlo lebella jwalo ka di line. So rare re lebeletse mo rena line P Q, and then re na le line P that is PQ PR na line QR. Then rare are join this lines the formula a triangle. So rare are aravad questions at nar level each line. So I check the first question and say calculate the length of QR. So rare recalculated the length of QR, rare distance from QR. Rare when you go to root more Q fitla more R, ikaba distance kanga, and then Arba length or distance rather than distance formula shumisha to answer this question. So now let's check 3.1. Now on 3.1, some tomorrow this kind of question. So you from your formula sheet, and then I'll couple your formula, but already retire way in this way. So we'll say QR equals to, now the square root of maybe we can say XQ minus XR all squared plus YQ minus YR all squared. So that I make a substitute your coordinates was already did now are checking right. We're looking for x at q. So at x at q minus 3. So when you are the same question, and then area changes to equal sign or during one just that more no substitution. Now level x at q it's minus 3, so minus 3. Then minus the later formula ringwala gamho. Or this being x q or change, but if you are substituting from the formula, then now x at r. So x at r 5. Then squared because I guess substitute plus, and then y at q see, so y minus 3 minus your formula, then y at r is 3, and then squared. I'm going to right, now there will be only a mark for substitution. So we'll check out my question 2 marks. So we'll create a mark for substituting correct values. So from here you can press a calculator and get the answer, or you okay vereka ka step by step mhlomgo awuna access ya if I want to access a calculator, but it's on to mobile calculator, more house the values quicker. So now from here you can stick right the answer. So but let's do it like this. Right over minus 3 is 8 squared, so minus 8, so minus 8 squared would be 64. Scalar or anything squared, it will be a positive, or negative by negative is positive. Now plus or negative 3, but negative 3 is negative 6, so over negative 6 squared, and then about 36. Now 36 plus 64, 100. So we have square root of 100. Now if you have square root of 100, now we can say 100, 10 by 10 is 10 squared, then that is 10 squared, or in the square root will have 10. You can say right 10 units or so on. Now that will be the answer. So 1 mark for the substitution, and then 1 mark for the answer. So now let's quickly go to number 3.2. Now 3.2, they are saying determine M, the midpoint of QR. So M will be somewhere here, the midpoint of QR. So only midpoint formula. So we can write it like this: QR, and then or we can write capital letter M of QR, and then maybe we can say equals to, now formula we can say X at Q plus X at R over 2, and then the Y coordinate, Y at Q plus Y at R over 2. Now, or you can remove this and put this one, so that will have the midpoint of QR, and then you open the bracket to substitute. So let's substitute X at Q is minus 3 plus your formula X at R is plus 5 over 2, and then Y at Q is minus 3 plus your formula, then Y at R is plus 3 over 2. So the midpoint of QR, and then we're going to have now if you say 5, if you say minus 3 plus 5, we're going to get 2. So 2 divided by 2, we're going to get 1, and then here minus 3 plus 3 is 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So now we can say now the substitution will get a tick, and this is the answer, you get a tick. Of course, we can say therefore M is the coordinates 1 and 0. Right, that is 3.2. Now let's check 3.3. Now on 3.3, they say determine the equation of the line passing through P and M. Right, so it's passing through P and M. So P is here, and then remember our M will be here, which is the coordinates of 1 and 0. And this is M here. Rather, the line must pass through this. So the line must be something like this. So rather you get the equation of this line. So if you get the equation of a line, a gradient. Now there is a formula for the gradient, and then from the gradient, we're also one of the points mo loreng line e feta hona. So ra re line e feta hodima p ebile e feta hodima m, so rena o swantse o kgethe ya ba ra tsona, then o substitute o create the value of c, which is the y-intercept, then we'll get the correct answer. Now let's get to the question. Now this is 3.3. Now on 3.3 they are looking for the equation of pm. So we're also going to create the gradient of pm. Now the gradient of pm equals to, now the correct formula pele. So you can y at p minus y at m over y x x at p minus x at m. Now if that is the case, we can now substitute. Now substitute y at p here is 3 minus the formula, and then y at m is 0 over the x at p is minus 5, and then minus the formula, or the x at m is 1. Now before we calculate the as long as line is slopely like this, if I go over tick with the left hand, then they must have a negative gradient. So have a negative answer, but on top is 3 over minus 5 minus 1, so it's minus 6. So if you simplify, we're going to have minus 1 over 2. So we're going to 1 over minus 2 is right, but it reveals a negative more, or it can affect the whole number here. Right, that is the gradient. Now it means we have a partially incomplete equation. So our equation is y equals to mx plus c. So now we've got the gradient, which is m. So y equals to minus 1 over 2x plus c. Now you short y-intercept or value c. Now we create value c, we point it gradient or yellowing if it out the line near. So we p the m. So the simplest one would choose a m. I know this number to the whole, then we're going to choose m, which is now we're going to substitute m with the coordinates 1 and 0. So x, y. So x on this question go via 1, then y give via 0. Now by substitute, now we're going to say y is 0 equals to minus 1 over 2, and then x is 1, and then plus c. Right, so that's 0 equals to 1, negative 1 multiplied by negative 1, we're going to have minus 1 over 2 plus c. Now you can solve c, on the other side. So c positive, then then solve c so multiply, so the plus, so the opposite of that plus so change sign, so negative opposite again positive, so negative over positive 1 over 2 equals to c. But of course we can write it as c equals to 1 over 2. Now after most a complete equation. Now a complete equation is y equals to minus 1 over 2x plus 1 over 2. Now that would be your 3 marks. So 1 mark for getting the gradient, 1 mark for maybe getting the value of c or substitution of m, and then getting the value of c and the complete equation. That will be your 3 marks. Alright, next question. So the next question we are having they're saying determine the equation of the circle which has QR as the diameter. Now this is a high order question, which is a level 3 question. But the circle are now, so it will be in high order. So for determine the equation of a circle, we have a standard formula of the equation of a circle. So now 3.4. Now the standard formula, if you check on a formula sheet, or we can see a formula like this: x minus a all squared plus y minus b all squared equals to r squared. Mo loreng a le b ba bontsha dilo ja center of the circle, and the center of the circle can be get the midpoint of a circle. So we are in a circle. So rather more a and b udula wana fela at compromise udula always so more a le b udula mo try more center or we are in a circle fail. Then this x and y ke one ba ka change rather ke di coordinates being on the circumference of the circle. So rather if you run a circle like this, rather this is the center, rather more center is already a and b, but more x will change around this, then y will change around this circle. So that's why the a and b, this will never change. So but the x and y are changing around the circle, so a and b are fixed to be already center. Right, now our level J, this question they are saying this must be QR, which is the diameter. Now QR is the diameter. Udima QR rekumane midpoint or general coordinate center, because already if the circle passes through these two, already this will be the circumference. So a rough sketch of the circle would be something like this. So these two are the circumference of the circle. They are at the circumference, then this will be the midpoint. So if this is the midpoint or the center of the circle, we know from this point to this is a radius, but that is for another time. Now let's get the center. So our equation of a circle center bill. So coordinate center ke 1 and 1 get x and then 0. So our substitute more x minus and then 1 all squared plus. Now so number I look like as well as formula na minus mo we will number from the question if negative will be negative or will brackets, then it like direct. Then now y minus 0 all squared equals to r squared. Now this is what get the first part substitute. So for substitute center, then we get a tick for substitute center. Now we must go and get the radius. So or command radius, now we can this x and y hopefully number or the coordinates the circumference fail. So rather than top at the circumference. So the circumference is r and q. So again r and q rather substitute on this line. So r1 rather katia which one rta r, and then substitute x and y. So this is our x and y. So r now guy. So substitute r. So if you substitute r, that could mean 5 and 3. So this is x and y. So circumference on this two. So rounding for us to get r, which is the radius, rather to substitute r, x is 5 minus 1 all squared plus, now number 2 we'll say 3 minus 0 all squared equals to r squared. Now got my equation r squared or teacher the square root radius. So like r squared, substitute back to that. Right, already over 4 squared more. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 squared, I think 16. So we're going to have 16 plus 9, that is 3 squared, equals to r squared. Now running our r squared equals to 25. Now if you add 2, get 25. Now it means for getting r, you can get a tick. Now let's write the complete equation. Therefore, our complete equation will be x minus 1 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals to r squared is 25. Now that will be your complete equation, but you can simplify further. 0 change cell. So in other ways, we can write x minus 1 squared plus y squared equals to 25. Mara this one you can also ensure the other coordinates is 0. Okay, but when we did it in this way, then the other part of the center is 0. Right. Next question. The next question I say, which is number 3.5. Now on 3.5, they say, does point P lie inside or outside the circle in question 3.4? Motivate your answer with relevant calculations. Now here, they say point P, this one, is lying inside or outside the circle. Alright, if it will like a circle, or it fell like a moire, it will like a moire, and then bar the calculations. Now, our r squared. So meaning our r here is 25. So meaning from this m going there. You know, not 25. This is 5. Square root of 25 is 5. So this is also 5. Now every point from the center to the circumference is 5. From here to here is 5. So now remote motivator answer here kumana a distance of MP. So if MP, if it's a radius, then it means that point P outside. It can just say radius are not inyani. If it's a radius, it's then if it's a or if it's a radius, or inside the circle, radius ki hole you're not a if it's a radius. Then the other thing, or radius then is on the circumference or lies on the circle, not inside or outside, but on the circle. So now here I'll check the first one. So obviously the length of MP. So the length of MP. So MP equals to square root of. Now we know the formula. Let's simply substitute and finish quickly. So we'll say 1 minus into minus 5 all squared, and then minus the y's 0 minus 3 all squared. So now this is 6 squared is 36, and then plus this one is 9. So 36 plus 9, 36. Am I correct? 6 squared is 36 plus 9 is 45. So square root of 45. And then you can simplify further. This is the square root of that. Now the r r equals to the square root of 25. So, but you must simplify further to compare the two. So if you look at here, MP is greater than R. Therefore, it means P lies outside the circle. The distance here MP, if it radius, or if it radius, it will be like a second. That's why it will lie outside the circle. Now that is the motivation on calculation. How many marks? It's 3. So getting the distance, you simplify. You must simplify here. But getting the distance, you must get a tick, and then the comparison and the answer, the final answer for conclusion, you must get 3 marks. So 3.6, let's say determine the coordinates of S if PQRS is a parallelogram with S in the first quadrant. So yeah, let's put it. Now let's say if this is a parallelogram. So now since the properties of parallelogram, obviously in parallelogram running, we another line there that will be formed in the first quadrant. Let's do like this. So another line there, and then we know that this line is parallel to this one, and this one is parallel to this one. But what we know about that, the diagonals must bisect each other. So if you have a diagonal here, now this diagonal, they will bisect each other. So we can use the midpoint formula to get these coordinates here, which are known because we know the coordinates of this part here. So the value of the coordinates here, because this line is parallel to the x-axis, meaning the value of y will be the same. This is 3. And then the value of x at x-axis is always 0. So the coordinates here is 0 and 3. Now, already, we know that this bisect already is cut into 2, already, meaning this side and this side are equal. So this diagonal will be equal. So if they are equal, then it means this point, PQRS, like S. So running, yeah, this point S here is the S and Q, they have a midpoint of 0 and 3. So we can use a midpoint formula to get that coordinates, which means this one for the x, then if you solve, we're going to get 3. So S will be 3. And then now if you solve midpoint formula here, you'll get a 9. So this will be, they must all be positive. So S will be 3 and 9. So sometimes they might call it a reflection. This might reflect, and then that's what we get. We'll post your questions if you have questions about that, and then the last one, they say calculate the size of Q angle PR. Let me erase this one. The size of Q angle PR. So they are looking for this angle. So this angle. So one of the ways because this line is parallel to this line, so this will be alternating to this one, and I can get this by get this by using the gradient. So let's do it quickly. So the gradient of PQ, now getting the gradient of PQ, now on the gradient of PQ, so minus 3 plus 3, So, but the answer must also be negative. So, but if you work out the gradient of PQ, you'll get minus 3. So just work it quickly. You'll get minus 3 as the gradient of PQ. Now, after getting the gradient of PQ, then we can use, maybe we can give, but we'll say this is an inclination. So the gradient of this line, maybe say, if you say the tan of negative 3, maybe we can give this. Now, the answer here will be negative. Sorry for this. So maybe let's say tan of theta equals to negative 3, and the second function theta equals to the second function, which is shift of tan minus 3. Now theta, now we can give this side a theta here, and then now if we do the second function of that, second function of tan of negative 3, so you get minus 71,57 degrees. Now this angle here, because it's negative, here is a clockwise direction. So what's a clockwise, then that is this theta. So but that negative, we know that here is a clockwise direction. If they are looking for the inclination, that's why we will say 180 plus or 180 minus this angle, rather we'll be getting this angle this side. But for now we are happy because we are looking for this angle this side. What is it? So this theta equals to 71,57. That is this angle. Now, how to get this one? Obviously, this will be an alternating angle. So we're going to say, maybe let's give it beta. Now, angle beta equals to 71,57 degrees. Now, because that is the, we must give it a reason. The reason is that P or alternating angles. Alternating dot alternating, then angles. And then why are saying alternating angles? Alternating angles which lines are parallel maybe. So we can say PR is parallel to the x-axis. Right, that is the question. Now, how many marks? So 4 marks, you can get that 4 marks for it. Right, that will be the end of this question. That will give you a plus minus 20 in your examination.